You are staring at the ceiling. The alarm has not sounded yet. The room is quiet, but your chest is heavy with a very specific modern exhaustion. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, you feel that you are falling behind. You are not falling behind on your rent. You are not falling behind on your obligations. You feel that you are falling behind on your destiny. You open your phone and you are immediately flooded with the smiling faces of people who claim to have figured it out. They tell you to find your passion. They tell you to monetize your joy. They tell you that you must discover your singular, preordained purpose, and that if you have not found it yet, you are wasting your brief time on this earth. They are selling you a map to a treasure that does not exist. There is a multi-billion-dollar machine operating around you right now. It is an industry built entirely on your spiritual insecurity. It thrives on your quiet suspicion that your life is meaningless unless it looks like a cinematic triumph. The greatest philosophers in human history did not live like this. In the late 19th century, a man named Friedrich Nietzsche looked at the trajectory of the modern world and saw exactly what was coming. He saw that humanity was about to lose its traditional sources of meaning, and in the panic of that loss, we would begin worshiping false idols. We would worship productivity, status, and the desperate performance of success. Nietzsche understood something that the modern life coach will never tell you. Meaning is not something you find. It is not waiting for you under a rock or at the end of a morning routine or in a sudden flash of divine inspiration. Meaning is something you forge. And before you can build your own, you must first take a heavy iron hammer and smash the artificial meaning that society has forced into your mind. Today, we are going to walk through a 7-day protocol of absolute psychological demolition. We are going to use the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche to burn down the false purpose you have been carrying and clear the ground for the life you actually want to live. This is powerful speech. Chapter 1: The Manufactured Void. Let us look closely at the invisible agony of the modern adult. You go to your job, you pay your bills, you maintain your physical health. By every historical metric, you are surviving perfectly. Yet there is a hollow ache in the exact center of your days. You feel it when you sit in traffic. You feel it on Sunday afternoons when the house is quiet and the week is looming. It is a subtle, humming anxiety that whispers the same terrifying questions. Is this all there is? Am I missing the point? Am I a failure because my life is ordinary? To numb this ache, you turn to the market. You consume audio programs about high performers. You read books about optimizing your habits. You watch videos of strangers waking up at 4 in the morning, stepping into ice baths, and speaking to a camera about their absolute, unbreakable clarity of vision. You look at their curated existence, and then you look at your own messy, uncertain life, and you feel a profound sense of shame. You conclude that you are broken. You believe that you lack discipline. You convince yourself that you were simply born without the spark of greatness that these strangers possess. This is exactly what the machine wants you to feel. The purpose industry requires your perpetual inadequacy. If you ever stop to realize that your life is already valid, the entire economy of self-improvement would collapse overnight. They have convinced you that a normal, quiet life is a tragedy. They have convinced you that unless you are changing the world,
building an empire, or living in a state of constant optimized joy, you are doing something fundamentally wrong. This is a modern sickness. You are paralyzing yourself with the expectation of a grand destiny. You spend so much energy searching for a massive, overarching purpose that you completely ignore the raw physical reality standing directly in front of you. You are waiting for permission to start living. You are waiting for someone to hand you a script. You are waiting to be chosen. Nobody is coming to choose you. The universe does not have a hidden envelope with your name on it, detailing your specific mission. There is no secret instruction manual hidden in the stars. And until you accept this terrifying emptiness, you will remain a slave to anyone who promises to fill it for you.
Chapter 2: The Man Who Saw the Collapse. To understand the medicine, you must understand the man who engineered it. We are taught to view philosophers as marble statues. We imagine them sitting in comfortable universities, disconnected from the brutal reality of physical survival, writing abstract theories about the world. Friedrich Nietzsche was not a marble statue. He was a man in absolute agony. In the late 1880s, Nietzsche was living in a small, freezing boarding house room in Turin, Italy. He was completely alone. He had no university position, he had no wife, he had no disciples. His physical body was a prison of suffering. He endured blinding migraines that lasted for hundreds of hours. He would spend days lying on the floor in the dark, vomiting bile, unable to open his eyes because the daylight was too painful. He was slowly going blind. He wrote his books while walking through the mountains, scribbling furiously in small notebooks before the pain in his head forced him back into bed. And the world completely ignored him. His books sold fewer than 40 copies. He had to pay for the printing with his own small pension. He was considered a failure, a madman, an outcast. If anyone had the right to succumb to despair, it was him. If anyone had the right to say that life was a cruel, meaningless joke, it was the man lying on the cold floor in Turin. But he refused. From the absolute depths of human suffering, Nietzsche wrote the most fiercely life-affirming philosophy in human history. He did not write about escaping reality. He did not write about waiting for a better life in another world. He wrote about turning around and loving the exact, painful, beautiful life you have been given. He earned his authority through blood. He did not inherit his meaning. He forged it in the dark. He saw that the modern world was losing its religious foundation. He famously declared that God is dead. But this was not a celebration. It was a terrifying warning. He knew that without a central authority to hand humanity its values, the human race would panic. He knew we would desperately invent new gods to replace the old ones. He predicted the rise of mass political movements, the worship of the state, and the obsessive, hollow pursuit of money and comfort. He warned us about a creature he called the last man. The last man is the ultimate product of the modern world. He is a person who takes no risks, creates nothing new, and desires only comfort, entertainment, and safety. The last man sits in a temperature-controlled room, staring at a piece of glass, scrolling through the opinions of the herd, terrified of his own shadow. The last man blinks and says that he has invented happiness. Nietzsche looked at this future and he handed us a hammer. Chapter 3: The Philosophy of the Hammer. You believe that to build a better life, you need to add something to it. You think you need a new habit, a new routine,
a new piece of information to memorize. Nietzsche understood that the opposite is true. Before you can build anything of value, you must destroy. You must take a hammer to the idols in your mind. Look at the things you currently value. Look at the definition of success you are violently exhausting yourself to achieve. Look at the title you want to hold, the exact number you want to see in your bank account, the validation you crave from people you do not even respect. Who told you to want those things? You did not invent those desires. They were handed to you by your culture. They were handed to you by your parents. They were programmed into you by the screens you stare at. You have inherited a heavy set of artificial values. You are carrying them on your back, dragging yourself across the desert, wondering why your knees are giving out and your spirit feels so tired. Nietzsche called this state the camel. The camel is the beast of burden. It kneels down in the sand and says to society, "Put your weight on me. Tell me what to value. Tell me what is right and wrong. Tell me what success looks like, and I will carry it." Most people die as camels. They spend their entire 80 years on Earth fulfilling the expectations of a machine that does not care about them. They follow the script perfectly. They get the degree, they get the mortgage, they get the promotion, and they arrive at the end of their lives completely hollowed out, realizing they never actually lived. You are currently carrying the heavy, artificial purpose of the modern market. You are exhausting yourself trying to prove your worth to a system that views you as completely disposable. To become a free human being, the camel must die. You must step into the wilderness of your own mind, and you must transform into the lion. The lion does not ask for permission. The lion does not carry the burdens of the herd. The lion has only one job: to utter the sacred no. To look at the artificial purpose, the toxic productivity, the expectations of the crowd, and say, "I refuse. I will no longer carry your weight. I will no longer measure my soul by your metrics." This is the most terrifying moment in a human life, because when you destroy the false meaning, you are left with nothing. You are staring into the absolute abyss of your own freedom. But it is only in that empty space that you can finally begin to build.
You came here looking for your life's true purpose. You wanted a set of instructions on how to finally find it. But that is the wrong question. The right question is, why are you so terrified of the silence that you would rather carry a fake purpose than take the responsibility of creating your own? Chapter 4: The Audit of the Burden. We are going to execute the philosophy of the hammer, and we are going to do it over the next 7 days. This protocol is not about adding anything to your life. It is an act of psychological excavation. Days 1 and 2 are the audit of the camel. Tomorrow morning, you will not wake up and try to be more productive. You will do the exact opposite. You will look at your life as a cold, impartial investigator. You are going to observe the weight you are carrying. Look at your calendar. Look at your financial obligations. Look at the metrics you use to decide if you had a good day or a bad day. Ask yourself this deeply uncomfortable question: how many of the things I am currently exhausted by are things I actually chose? When you sit at your desk and feel the heavy, suffocating anxiety of falling behind, pause. Ask the mind, who exactly am I falling behind? Whose race am I running right now? You will begin to notice that almost all of your anxiety is not generated by your physical reality. You have a roof. You have food.
The anxiety is generated by the gap between your reality and the artificial expectations of the herd. You are carrying the unlived dreams of your parents. You are carrying the financial expectations of your peers. You are carrying the toxic, impossible standards of strangers on the internet. You must see the burden before you can drop it. For 48 hours, your only job is to look at your daily actions and whisper one word: why? Why am I doing this? Is it for me, or is it for the invisible audience in my head? Chapter 5. The Sacred No. Once you see the weight of the camel, the anger will follow. Do not suppress the anger. Use it. Days 3 and 4 belong to the lion. The lion is the spirit of rebellion. The lion does not ask society for a new set of rules. The lion stands in the desert and destroys the old rules. For these 2 days, you are going to practice the most powerful, life-altering word in the human language. You are going to practice saying no. You are going to say no to the artificial purpose. When the machine tells you that you must monetize your hobbies to be successful, you say no. When the algorithm shows you a 22-year-old millionaire and demands that you feel inadequate, you say no. When your own mind tells you that a quiet, simple Tuesday with your family is a failure because you did not build an empire, you utter the sacred no. You are going to systematically sever the invisible ropes tying you to the expectations of the crowd. This is an act of psychological violence against your own conditioning. It requires absolute courage. When you drop these false burdens, people will look at you differently. They will call you lazy. They will say you have lost your ambition. They will be angry with you, not because you are failing, but because your freedom reminds them of their own invisible chains. Let them be angry. Let them keep running on the treadmill. You are stepping off the machine.
We have been inside Nietzsche's world. We have looked at the abyss of the 19th century. Now I want to come back to yours, because the burden of the camel is not a historical metaphor. It is your Wednesday afternoon. Chapter 6. The Forge of the Child. When the lion has destroyed the false idols, a terrifying silence arrives. Day 5 is the day of the abyss. When you stop running the race of the herd, you will feel a profound emptiness. You will feel bored. You will feel a terrifying lack of direction. Your nervous system, which has been addicted to the panic of productivity, will experience severe withdrawal. The most common mistake humanity makes is trying to immediately fill this void with a new distraction. Do not do it. Sit in the emptiness. Stare into the abyss. Allow yourself to be a blank slate. This brings us to days 6 and 7, the final metamorphosis. Nietzsche taught that after the camel dies and after the lion destroys, the spirit must transform one last time. It must become the child. Why the child? Because a child does not need a grand, overarching, world-changing purpose to play. A child builds a sandcastle, not to sell it, not to put it on a resume, and not to impress the other children. The child builds the sandcastle simply for the absolute joy of the creation itself. The child represents the sacred yes. This is how you forge meaning. You do not find it in the sky. You generate it from the ground up through your own physical actions. On days 6 and 7, you are going to look around your immediate physical reality. You're going to stop trying to change the world, and you're going to put your hands on the objects directly in front of you. Create something entirely for yourself. Write a single page of text that no one will ever read. Plant a single seed in the dirt.
Have a deeply honest conversation with a person you love without looking at a screen, without any agenda. Give your absolute, undivided attention to a very small thing. This is the secret of the Übermensch, the Superman that Nietzsche predicted. He is not a conqueror of nations, he is a conqueror of himself. He looks at the brutal, messy, painful reality of human existence, and he says, "Yes, I accept this. I will build my own meaning right here, in the dirt, with my own hands." You do not need a destiny. You do not need a grand purpose. You only need to take responsibility for the exact moment you are standing in right now. The meaning of life is whatever you choose to build in the silence after you stop listening to the crowd. Subscribe to Powerful Speech as we reach beneath the surface of how we think, feel, and create our lives. And share this with someone who is ready to change the most important conversation they will ever have, the one they are having with themselves. Friedrich Nietzsche died on August 25, 1900. He was 55 years old. He passed away in Weimar, Germany, his mind having collapsed into darkness years before. He left us with this truth: he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. When you strip away the expectations of everyone you know, what is the exact thing you actually want to do with your day tomorrow? This has been Powerful Speech. A Roman emperor sits alone in a Cold War tent on the edge of the known world. He commands the greatest army on earth, yet he is completely consumed by a private, crushing anxiety. And he is writing a secret diary to teach himself how to survive his own mind.